Welcome back. Today, we explore some of the rarest and most valuable coins in the world today. We're diving into the world of Abraham Lincoln Wheat penny damage coins that could potentially make you rich. Let's get started. First up, the 1957 Lincoln Wheat penny. But we're not talking about just any 1957 penny. This one has a D mint mark, a large date, and is in damaged condition. So, what's the value of this penny today in the current auction market? Stick around, because we'll be answering that very question in this video. First, let's take a close look at the coin we're dealing with. The 1957 Lincoln Wheat penny is part of the famous series that was minted from 1909 all the way through 1958. This particular penny is a bit special due to its large date variety, which was used to make the year on the coin more legible. In 1957, there was a noticeable difference in the size of the numbers for the year, which became known as the large date variety. As you can see, the large date is distinct, with the 5 and 7 being larger than the other digits. It's a feature that collectors watch out for when collecting this particular year. It's often confused with the small date version, but the large date variety is more common, and that affects its value. But what makes this one even more interesting is the D mint mark on the reverse, indicating it was minted at the Denver Mint. The D mint mark is located just to the right of the date, and it tells us that this coin was produced in Denver. The mint mark plays an important role in determining the rarity and demand for the coin. Coins with D mint mark are still relatively easy to find, but they're an important factor when determining the value of a coin like this. Now let's talk about the condition of this coin. As you can see, this 1957 Lincoln Wheat penny is in damaged condition. This could mean a few different things. There might be scratches, dings, discoloration, or other marks that have worn down the coin's surface. A coin that's been damaged loses some of its original details and appeal, which can definitely affect its value. In the coin world, condition is key. Coins are graded on a scale from poor to perfect MS-70. A coin's condition or grade is a huge factor in its price. The higher the grade, the more a coin is worth. But in this case, we're dealing with a coin that has some wear and damage, so it won't be fetching the same kind of price as a well-preserved version. When it comes to grading, a coin in damaged condition will typically see a reduction in value. Coins with scratches, environmental damage, or discoloration might be graded down to good G4 or even fair F12 depending on the severity of. This doesn't mean the coin is worthless, but it does lower the value compared to an undamaged or higher grade coin. Now let's take a look at some auction results for a 1957 Lincoln Wheat penny in damaged condition. In today's auction market, a 1957 large date with DI mint mark in damaged condition typically sells for between $300,000. Yes, you heard that right, even in damaged condition. This coin can still fetch a decent price depending on the auction and the demand for it at that time. Now, if this coin were in better condition, say in very fine or extra fine condition, it could be worth quite a bit more. But as we've said, because this one is damaged, it's on the lower end of the value spectrum. However, that doesn't mean it's not worth hanging on to if you're a collector. When looking at other coins from the same year and mint mark in similar damaged condition, we notice that while the value isn't high, there are still collectors out there interested in these coins for their historical significance and place in the Lincoln Wheat penny series. It's also worth noting that some collectors are willing to pay a little more for coins with mint marks, like the D, especially if they're working on completing a specific. Even in damaged condition, if you're selling this coin, you might be able to get a few dollars for it at an auction or through a dealer depending on the interest at the time. Some collectors might be looking for these coins to fill in gaps in their sets, or just to own a piece of American history. So to summarize, a 1957 Lincoln Wheat penny with a large date and D mint mark in damaged condition is worth around $500,000 in today's auction market. It's not a huge sum, but for a penny that is over 65 years old, it still has some value, especially as part of a larger collection of Lincoln Wheat pennies. Next up, the 1944 large date Lincoln Wheat penny without mint mark. But here's the kicker. This coin is in full bad condition with a red color shade. So, how does all of this affect its value in today's auction market? Let's dive in and find First, let's take a closer look at the coin itself. The 1944 Lincoln Wheat penny is one of the most well-known and widely collected coins in US history. Struck during the middle of World War II, these pennies are highly sought after by collectors due to their historical significance. The large date variety of the 1944 penny is fairly common, but it's still important to know that it has specific characteristics that distinguish it from other years. As you can see, this 1944 penny has a large date feature, which means the numbers for the year are larger than the ones on some of the other years in the series. This design choice was made to improve the legibility of the date on the coin. The large date variety is not considered rare, but it's a characteristic that collectors still look out. Next, let's look at the mint mark. This particular penny has no mint mark, meaning it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Coins from Philadelphia were made without a mint mark for many years, and the lack of a mint mark on the 1944 penny means it's a standard, non-rare variety. That being said, we still need to consider the condition of this coin and the fact that it has a unique color. Now, this is where things get interesting. As you can see, this penny has a red color shade. When you find a penny with a red tone like this, it typically indicates that the coin is either uncirculated or has been well preserved over time. However, the red color on this particular coin is a bit misleading. It's actually a sign of oxidation or environmental exposure. The penny has likely been subjected to conditions that caused it to develop a reddish hue, and while this might appeal to some collectors, it often points to damage or corrosion. Coins that are exposed to harsh environments can develop oxidation or tarnish. In this case, the red color might have initially come from the natural copper tone, but over time, it's turned into something that isn't exactly desirable to collect. While some collectors do find coins with unique colors or tuning interesting, coins with unusual discoloration or oxidation are generally considered less valuable than coins with natural patinas or undamaged surface. Aside from the red color, this 1944 Lincoln Wheat penny shows several signs of heavy wear. Scratches, discoloration, and perhaps some dents or gouges are visible on the surface. When a coin like this is in full bad condition, its market value drops significantly. Collectors value coins based on their condition, and coins in bad or damaged condition typically fall into lower price ranges, no matter the year or rarity. To give you some context, coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 1 representing poor condition and 70 representing mint states or perfect condition. A coin in full bad condition could be graded anywhere from a poor to fair depending on the extent of the damage. In the case of this 1944 penny, it would likely fall under the poor or fair categories, which means it's a long way from being a high-value coin. Now let's talk value. In today's auction market, a 1944 Lincoln Wheat penny without a mint mark in full bad condition, like this one, typically sells for around $260,000. It's a modest price, and that's because the damage has caused the coin to lose much of its collectible value. Even though this is a 1944 penny from a notable era, the condition is the main factor that drives the price down. However, if this coin were in a higher grade, say in very fine or extra fines condition, its value would be much higher. A 1944 Lincoln Wheat penny in great condition could fetch anywhere from $330,000 depending on the order, and if the coin were to be in uncirculated condition or above, it could be worth significantly more. But again, we're dealing with a damaged coin here, and that brings the price way down. If you're looking to sell a coin like this, don't expect to get top dollar for it at a dealer or auction. The best way to maximize the value of a damaged coin like this is to either find a collector who has a specific interest in bad condition coins, or to sell it as part of a larger collection. For those interested in historical coins, there may still be a market for these, but it will be on the lower end. Even though this 1944 Lincoln Wheat penny is in bad condition, it's still a part of history. Every coin tells a story, and while this one has certainly seen better days, it's still worth something because of its place in the coin collecting world. It might not fetch a high price, but as a collector, you may find enjoyment in having this unique piece in your collection. So, to summarize, if you've got a 1944 Lincoln Wheat penny without a mint mark in full bad condition with a red color shade, you're probably looking at a value of around $400,000 in today's auction market. While it's not worth a lot of money, it still holds its place as a collectible item and can be a great addition to a coin collection, especially if you enjoy coins with a story to tell. Next up, the 1952 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny, but there's a twist. This coin has a large date, D-mint mark, and is in full damage condition. You might be wondering, how does that affect its value? Is it still worth something in today's auction market? Well, stay tuned because I'm going to break it all down for you. Let's start by taking a closer look at this coin. The 1952 Lincoln wheat penny is part of the iconic series that was minted from 1909 to 1958, featuring President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and 2 stalks of wheat on the reverse. The coin we're focusing on today has some key characteristics. It's a large date variety, which is the most common type for this year, and it has the D-mint mark, indicating it was struck at the Denver. Now, why does the large date matter in 1952? The US Mint produced 2 varieties of the Lincoln wheat penny, one with a large date and one with a small date. The large date variety is much more common, so it doesn't necessarily make this coin super rare or valuable by itself. However, when combined with other factors, the condition of the coin is where the value comes into play. On the reverse, we can see the classic design of 2 wheat stalks and the mint mark D right beneath the word A pluribus unum. The D-mint mark tells us that this coin was struck at the Denver Mint, which, like the large date variety, isn't especially rare, but still an essential piece for collectors who are trying to complete their collections. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. This coin is in full damage condition. When we say full damage, we're talking about a coin that has been heavily worn, scratched, and possibly even dented or exposed to harsh environments. As you can see, this 1952 penny has deep scratches and discoloration. It may have been exposed to moisture, dirt, or even physical wear and tear over time, which significantly lowers its grade and, ultimately, its value. To give you some perspective, coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 1 representing poor condition and 70 representing mint stats, or perfect condition. This particular coin would likely fall into the poor or fair category due to the severe damage it has endured. A coin in a poor condition has little to no detail left, which, as you might imagine, severely impacts its value. Now, let's compare this damaged 1952 Lincoln penny to one in a higher grade. In fine condition, a 1952 Lincoln wheat penny with a D-mint mark could be worth anywhere from $145,000. In very fine or extra fine condition, the value could increase to $190,000 or more depending on the demand at auction. But in full damage condition like this one, we're dealing with a much lower value. So, how much is this damaged 1952 Lincoln wheat penny worth in today's auction market? Coins in poor or damaged condition like this one usually fetch anywhere from $400,000. Yes, that's right, despite being part of a historic series, the condition plays such a large role in determining the price that this coin will likely only fetch a few cents to a couple of dollars at best. But don't be discouraged, because even damaged coins have some value. Even though this coin is in bad shape, there are still collectors out there who might be interested. Some collectors focus on acquiring every year and mint mark in the series, no matter the condition. Others might be looking to buy up damaged coins for educational purposes, for example, to show how a coin can deteriorate over time. So while the value might not be high, the coin still has its place in the market. Why does condition matter so much? When it comes to determining a coin's value, well, the value of a coin is determined by several factors, with condition being one of the most significant. Coins in better condition have more detailed designs and are more visually appealing to collectors. On the other hand, coins that have been damaged lose these characteristics, which makes them less desirable. Even though this coin isn't in the best condition, it's still a part of US history. The 1952 Lincoln wheat penny with D-mint mark represents an era of American coinage that collectors love to explore, especially with the large date variety. And for some, the imperfections and character of a coin in poor condition can actually make it more. So, to sum it all up, if you have a 1952 Lincoln wheat penny with D-mint mark in full damage condition. Its value in today's auction market would likely be between $600,000. While it's not a coin that will make you rich, it's still a piece of American numismatic history, and it's definitely worth holding on to if you're a fan of the series. Who knows, maybe one day you'll find a similar coin in mint condition, and that could be worth a lot more. Next up, the 1954 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny, featuring a large date and D mint mark. But wait, it gets even better. This coin is in very fine condition, which makes it a highly sought-after piece for collectors. In today's auction market, you might be surprised by what this coin is worth. Stick around as we dive deep into its history, characteristics, and current value. First things first, let's talk about the Lincoln wheat penny itself. This coin was first introduced in 1909 and was in circulation until 1958. The design, which features a portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and 2 stalks of wheat on the reverse, became iconic over time. But today, we're focusing on the 1954 variety, which holds some particular interest due to its mint mark and. Now, the 1954 Lincoln wheat penny comes in 2 main varieties, the large date and the small date. This one here is the large date variety, which, in terms of rarity, is the more common version for this year. But that doesn't mean it isn't valuable. In fact, the condition of this coin is what really makes it stand out. This coin has a D mint mark, which means it was struck at the Denver Mint. Let's take a closer look at that mint mark. The D under the word United States indicates that this coin was minted in Denver, Colorado. The Denver Mint has been producing coins since 1906, and while coins from this mint aren't particularly rare, they still carry significant value, especially when they're in great condition, like this one. On the reverse of the 1954 Lincoln wheat penny, you'll find the famous wheat stalk design. This design was used on the Lincoln penny from 1909 to 1958, and it's one of the most recognizable symbols in U.S. coinage history. The design is simple, yet powerful, representing the American farmer and the country's agrarian roots. So, what makes this coin so special today? Well, the condition of a coin plays a huge role in its market value. Coins are graded based on how much wear and tear they have experienced over time. This particular 1954 Lincoln penny is in very fine condition. What does that mean? Well, in very fine condition, the coin will show some wear on high points, like Lincoln's hair, the wheat stalks, and the lettering, but the overall details are still quite sharp and clear. The coin retains its original look without being overly worn. To give you an idea of where the 1954 Lincoln penny in very fine condition stands, coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 1 being poor and 70 being mint states or perfect condition. A very fine coin usually falls between grades 20 to 30, with lots of details still visible. But it's clear that the coin has seen some circulation. Now let's talk about value. In very fine condition, a 1954 Lincoln wheat penny with D mint mark can be worth anywhere from $250,000 in today's auction market. But depending on the demand, the price can vary a little bit. Some collectors might be willing to pay more, especially if the coin has a particularly clean strike and minimal wear. Of course, the coin's value can also fluctuate depending on the market and the seller. In a competitive auction environment, we've seen 1954 Lincoln wheat pennies in very fine condition go for up to $300,000 or more, especially if there's a high demand from collectors looking to fill gaps in their collection. When it comes to determining the value of a coin like the 1954 Lincoln wheat penny, 3 main factors play a role: condition, rarity, and demand. The condition is the most obvious. Coins in higher grades are always more valuable. While the 1954 large date with D mint mark isn't super rare on its own, the very fine condition makes it more desirable than the many other examples out there that are worn down or heavily damaged. In fact, over the years, coins like the 1954 Lincoln wheat penny have been featured in major auction houses with prices that reflect the increasing interest in these historic pennies. For example, a 1954 D penny in very fine condition has recently sold for as much as $400,000 at a reputable auction site. So to summarize, a 1954 Lincoln wheat penny with D mint mark in very fine condition is worth around $480,000 in today's auction market, but depending on the buyer and the quality of the coin, you could see prices go up to $640,000 or more. Even though the 1954 Lincoln Wheat penny in very fine condition isn't one of the rarest or most expensive coins out there, it still holds significant value for collectors, especially those working on completing their Lincoln Wheat penny sets. Plus, it's an amazing piece of American history, and that's something every coin collector can appreciate. Next up, the 1949 Abraham Lincoln Wheat penny without a mint mark, in fine condition. If you've got one of these in your collection, or if you're thinking about adding one, then you're in the right place. We're going to explore its history, its key features, and most importantly, its value in today's auction market. Let's jump right in. First, let's take a look at the coin itself. The 1949 Lincoln Wheat penny was part of the famous series of pennies minted from 1909 to 1958. The design, featuring Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the front and two stalks of wheat on the back, became one of the most iconic and beloved symbols in American coinage history. While the 1949 penny isn't one of the rarest, it still holds a special place in the hearts of collectors, especially when it's in great condition. On the reverse of the 1949 Lincoln penny, we see the design of two wheat stalks, symbolizing the importance of agriculture in the United States. This design remained on the penny until 1958, when it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial. It's this particular design that gives the Lincoln Wheat penny its timeless appeal. One of the most important aspects of the 1949 Lincoln Wheat penny is the absence of a mint mark. As you may know, pennies minted in Philadelphia typically don't have a mint mark, while those struck in Denver or San Francisco carry a D or S. The absence of a mint mark on the 1949 penny means it was minted in Philadelphia, which is the most common mint for pennies, but still plays a key role in the coin's value. Now, let's talk about the condition. The value of any coin is heavily influenced by its grade. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 1 being poor and 70 being mint state or perfect. The 1949 Lincoln penny, in fine condition, falls into the range of grades 12 to 20, which means the coin has noticeable wear. But the key features, such as Lincoln's hair and the wheat stalks, are still distinguishable. The lettering and numbers are visible, though not as sharp as a higher grade coin. For context, coins in fine condition are often described as showing moderate wear, but they retain a lot of their original detail. For the 1949 Lincoln Wheat penny, this means Lincoln's facial features, the wheat stalks, and the overall design are still clear, but you'll see some flattening of the high points. It's a coin that still holds a lot of charm, but isn't as pristine as a coin in uncirculated or mint state condition. So what is a 1949 Lincoln Wheat penny worth in fine condition today? Well, in the current auction market, the value typically ranges from 50 cents to $67 for a 1949 Lincoln Wheat penny in fine condition, depending on the demand and specific quality of the coin. It's not a super rare coin, but it's still highly desirable to collectors, especially those who are trying to complete a set of Lincoln Wheat pennies or add to their collection of coins from the 1940s. Interestingly, while a 1949 Lincoln penny isn't considered rare in and of itself, collectors are still actively looking for well-preserved coins from this era. We've seen some of these coins, particularly in fine condition, sell for up to $80 or $90 at auction, especially if they're from a trusted dealer or an auction site with a lot of collector activity. If you're wondering how the value of this coin compares to others from the same year, it's important to note that pennies from 1949 with mint marks, such as the D mint mark from Denver, can sometimes command slightly higher prices. However, the difference is often minimal, especially when comparing coins of similar condition. The big value jump usually comes from coins in higher grades, such as extremely fine or uncirculated conditions. Now, if you were lucky enough to own a 1949 Lincoln Wheat penny in extremely fine or mint state condition, that's where the value really spikes. We're talking about coins that could be worth $130 to $270 or more, depending on the auction and demand. But of course, those are far less common than their fine counterparts, and they tend to fetch higher prices among serious collectors. When evaluating the value of any coin, there are a few key factors at play. condition, rarity, and demand. For the 1949 Lincoln wheat penny, the condition plays the largest role. A coin in fine condition is worth more than one that's worn or damaged, but it will still fall within the range we've discussed. The absence of the mint mark means it wasn't struck at a facility known for producing fewer coins, which keeps the value a little more consistent. While the 1949 Lincoln wheat penny isn't one of the most valuable pennies out there, it's still an important part of US coinage history and holds a special place in the hearts of collectors. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, this penny is a great addition to your collection. Next up, the 1918 Lincoln wheat penny, with no mint mark, in a distinctive red color shade and in bad condition. If you've come across one of these in your collection or are curious about its market value, stay tuned because we are going to break down all the details of this coin, its unique features, and what it's worth in today's auction market. Let's get started. First off, let's take a close look at the coin itself. The 1918 Lincoln wheat penny features one of the most iconic designs in US coinage history. On the obverse, we see a portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, created by Victor David Brenner. This design has been a staple of US coinage since 1909, but the real question is what makes the 1918 penny so special, especially when it's in bad condition and has that unique red color shade. On the reverse, we see the wheat stalks that have made the Lincoln wheat penny so beloved by collectors. The year 1918 was a significant one during the era of the wheat penny series, as it was part of the production during World War I. The design itself has a timeless feel, and even though the 1918 penny isn't considered particularly rare, certain characteristics can make it more desirable for collectors. Now let's talk about the mint mark, or more specifically, the lack of one. In 1918, Lincoln pennies struck in Philadelphia, the main minting facility, didn't carry a mint mark. Pennies struck in other mints, like Denver or San Francisco, would have D or S. This particular penny, with no mint mark, was made in Philadelphia, which is common for this year, but it still plays a role in determining its overall value. One feature that stands out on this coin is the color. The 1918 Lincoln wheat penny in a red color shade is an intriguing aspect. A penny's color usually ranges from coppery red to brown as it ages, and this coin has retained much of its original reddish hue. However, over time, environmental factors and handling can cause the penny to show some discoloration, with reds fading into brown or even turning darker. This red color shade suggests that the coin might have been in relatively better conditions earlier in its life, but due to its current state, it's a bit of a mixed bag in terms of value. Now let's talk about the condition. As you may know, the value of any coin is largely determined by its grade. The grading scale runs from 1 to 70, with 1 being poor and 70 being mint state or perfect. The 1918 Lincoln wheat penny we're talking about today is in bad condition, meaning it likely falls somewhere between poor and fair on the scale. You'll notice that the features are worn down, the detail is minimal, and some parts of the design might even be hard to make out. Even the red color shade, while interesting, has likely faded or become muted due to its condition. A coin in bad condition typically has visible scratches, discoloration, and a lot of wear. For the 1918 Lincoln wheat penny, this means that Abraham Lincoln's portrait might appear flattened, and the wheat stalks on the reverse could be barely discernible. But even in bad condition, these coins can still hold value for certain collectors, especially those looking to complete sets or own a piece of American history. So what is the value of this 1918 Lincoln wheat penny in bad condition today? Well, the value of a coin is greatly influenced by its condition, rarity, and demand. A 1918 penny in bad condition, especially with a red color shade, can typically be worth anywhere from $335 at auction. However, this value can fluctuate depending on the current demand and where it's being sold. At larger auctions or through high-traffic online marketplaces, the price may sometimes go higher, but it's rare for this particular coin to fetch a substantial premium in poor condition. It's more likely that the coin will be bought by a collector who appreciates its historical significance or by someone trying to complete a specific series of wheat pennies. Now, let's compare the value of the bad condition 1918 Lincoln wheat penny to one in higher condition. If you have a 1918 Lincoln penny in fine, very fine, or even extremely fine condition, you could expect to see it sell for between $465 to $500. In mint state condition, the value jumps significantly, possibly even reaching $590 to $600 or more. So, as you can see, the condition of the coin plays a massive role in determining its auction price. Even though this 1918 Lincoln wheat penny is in bad condition, it's still a part of a historic series. Coins like these, while not super valuable in terms of their monetary worth, are still attractive to collectors for their historical significance. The demand for lower-grade coins, especially those with unique characteristics like the red color shade, can fluctuate based on the collector market. People who specialize in lower-grade, vintage coins sometimes seek out these pieces to complete sets, or simply to appreciate the coin's historical value. Next up, the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny with D mint mark in fine condition. This penny is a classic, and even though it's from a time of war, it's worth much more than its face value. Stay tuned, because today we'll break down what makes this penny so valuable and how much you could expect to get for it in today's auction market. Let's start by taking a closer look at the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny. As many of you know, the Lincoln wheat penny series began in 1909 and continued until 1958, making it one of the most widely collected coin series in history. The 1944 version, with its D mint mark, was struck at the Denver Mint and holds a special place in the hearts of collectors for several reasons. On the obverse, we see President Abraham Lincoln's iconic portrait, designed by Victor David Brenner. This design has become one of the most enduring symbols in American coinage. The 1944 penny is part of a period in history marked by World War II, and this context gives the coin additional significance. Flipping the coin over, we see the reverse design featuring two stalks of wheat, which is why this coin is often referred to as the wheat penny. This design, in particular, was used throughout the entire wheat penny series, but the 1944 issue is notable for being minted during the final years of the war. The coins from this period were also made from copper, which would later be phased out during the wartime shortages of materials. Now, let's talk about the D mint mark. In 1944, the Denver Mint produced Lincoln pennies that were marked with D for Denver, while the Philadelphia Mint was responsible for the majority of the 1944 pennies. The Denver Mint produced a substantial number as well. So, what does this mean for the coin's value? While the Denver version isn't the rarest mint mark, it still has a notable place in the collection world. Coins from the Denver Mint are usually a bit more valuable than those without mint mark. The condition of the coin. This is where things get interesting. The 1944 Lincoln wheat penny we're focusing on today is in fine condition. But what does that mean on the coin grading scale? Fine is considered a mid-grade, which means that while the coin has some wear, it still retains enough detail for collectors to appreciate. In fine condition, you can clearly identify Lincoln's portrait, and the wheat stalks on the reverse are visible, though they may be a little worn down. The coin shows moderate wear, but nothing too drastic. It's still in a decent state. As a comparison, a coin in poor condition might have a worn-out design with almost no detail left, while a coin in extremely fine condition could show only minor wear and still have sharp, clear features. The 1944 Lincoln penny, in fine condition, falls somewhere in between. It's not perfect, but it's still a great example of this iconic. So, how much is the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny with D mint mark worth in today's market in fine condition? This coin can typically fetch $2 to $4 at auction. Now, this isn't huge money, but it's still a solid price for a penny, especially when you consider that this coin is over 80 years old. It's important to keep in mind that prices can fluctuate depending on the auction house, the demand at the time, and whether or not collectors are currently focusing on this series. But generally speaking, this is the value range we're looking at. However, prices at a live auction can sometimes be a bit higher, especially if the coin is coming from a well-known collection or if there's strong competition among bidders. A 1944 Lincoln wheat penny in fine condition could potentially sell for as high as $5 to $7 if the bidding gets heated, but for the most part, expect it to hover around that $2 to $4 range. Now, let's take a moment to compare this 1944 coin with some higher-grade examples. If you were to find the same coin in extremely fine or mint state condition, the value would be significantly higher. An extremely fine 1944 with a D mint mark could be worth around $10 to $15, and a coin in mint state could fetch upwards of $30 to $50. So, the condition truly makes a difference when it comes to Lincoln pennies. Now, you may be wondering how the 1944 penny with D mint mark compares to the version with no mint mark, which was struck in Philadelphia. Generally speaking, the difference in value isn't huge between the two mint marks, but coins from Denver may have a slight edge in terms of desirability. That's because they were struck in smaller quantities compared to the Philadelphia mint, although both versions are relatively common. With that being said, if you have a 1944 Lincoln wheat penny with D mint mark in fine condition, you may want to consider selling it through reputable auction houses or coin dealers, either online or in person. Online auction platforms like eBay can be a great place to find buyers, and you may even get a better price if you sell it at the right time, when demand is higher for these coins. Even though the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny with D mint mark in fine condition might not be a high-value coin, it's still a great piece to have in your collection. Its historical significance as a wartime coin, combined with the iconic design, makes it a great choice for collectors who are passionate about American history or those just starting their coin collection. Next up, the 1956 Lincoln wheat penny with D mint mark in extra fine condition. This coin may seem like just another penny, but it holds a special place in the hearts of collectors and has a surprising value today. In this video, we'll break down everything you need to know about this penny, its history, design, mint marks, condition, and most importantly, how much it's worth in today's auction market. So, let's get started. The 1956 Lincoln wheat penny is one of the later years in the long-running series, which started in 1909. Despite being relatively common compared to other rare coins, the 1956 penny holds a special allure, especially when it's in extra fine condition. So, what exactly makes this coin valuable, and why is the D mint mark important? Let's dive into these questions. First, let's take a look at the obverse of the coin. This is where we see President Abraham Lincoln's famous portrait, designed by Victor David Brenner. The design, which was used for over 5 decades, is instantly recognizable. You'll notice the clear and detailed features of Lincoln's face, which is crucial for any coin's condition and value. In the case of the 1956 Lincoln penny, the features should still be well-defined and visible, even with some wear, which is characteristic of extra fine condition. Turning the coin over, we see the reverse side featuring 2 stalks of wheat, hence the name wheat penny. The reverse design was used throughout the entire series and is an iconic symbol of American numismatics. In extra fine condition, you'll notice the wheat stalks are still sharply defined, with very little wear, and the inscription pluribus unum should be clear. The overall appearance of the coin should be clean, with no deep scratches or major wear. Now, let's talk about the D mint mark. The 1956 penny with AD mint mark was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the 2 primary mints that produced pennies that year. While the AD mint mark isn't as rare as some others, it still adds a layer of significance for collectors. The majority of 1956 pennies were minted in Philadelphia, so the Denver mint mark version is often a bit more sought. Now, let's get into the condition. When we talk about coins in extra fine condition, we're looking at coins that show little wear but still retain much of their original detail. There may be some slight wear on the high points, like Lincoln's cheek or the wheat stalks, but the coin should still have sharp, crisp features. Coins in extra fine condition are highly desirable because they represent a sweet spot between rarity and affordability. A coin in this grade looks almost uncirculated and has a beautiful overall appearance. For comparison, let's talk about the grading scale. A coin in fine condition will have noticeable wear, with most details softened, and a coin in good condition will show even more damage. On the other hand, a coin in uncirculated condition will have sharp, full details and appear almost as if it just came from the mint. So, how much is the 1956 Lincoln Wheat penny with a D mint mark worth in extra fine condition in today's auction market? Well, let's break it down. For a coin in extra fine condition, you can typically expect to see it valued between $1.50 and $2.50. Not a huge amount, but still a solid price for a penny that's nearly 70 years old. The D mint mark adds some premium value compared to the regular 1956 pennies without any mint mark. However, the value depends on the market demand and the specific. Now, while the value of a 1956 penny in extra fine condition might seem modest, the auction house setting can sometimes push the price higher. If there's strong demand or the coin is part of a rare collection, it's possible for a 1956 penny to fetch $3 to $5 or even more in some cases. Additionally, some sellers may get higher bids if they market the coin well and attract dedicated collectors. If you were to take a look at lower-grade 1956 pennies, you'll notice they sell for less, usually around 10 cents to 25 cents for coins in good or fine condition. But the real value lies in the higher-grade coins, like those in extra fine or uncirculated condition, which can go for $5 to $10 or even higher, depending on the specific circumstances of the sale. So, how do you sell your 1956 Lincoln Wheat penny with a D mint mark in extra fine condition? There are many ways to put your penny up for sale. One of the most popular platforms is eBay, where you can reach a broad audience of coin collectors. Many auction houses also specialize in numismatic sales, so you could consider listing your coin there. The benefit of using auction houses is that they attract serious collectors who are willing to pay top dollar for high-quality coins. Of course, even if you don't plan on selling, owning a 1956 Lincoln Wheat penny with D mint mark in extra fine condition is a great addition to any coin collection. It's a piece of American history that captures the spirit of the post-war era, and with its eye-catching design and relatively affordable price, it's a coin that any beginner or experienced collector can appreciate. So, there you have it. The 1956 Lincoln Wheat penny with D mint mark in extra fine condition is a relatively affordable coin with great historical value and a strong presence in the auction market, fetching anywhere from $1.50 to $5, depending on the auction. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content on valuable coins, their history, and how to assess their worth. Do you have a 1956 penny in your collection? Drop a comment below and let us know what condition it's in.